Very good morning to all of you in this session that is organized by the Microbiology Society of India and the platform of Microbiology Society of India, that is Micro GV Talks. So, let I would like to introduce Microbiology Society India. Microbiology Society India is started from 1994 uh, for the betterment of the subject, that is microbiology, throughout the India. Microbiology Society India is established under the able guidance of Honorable Sri Arvind Deshmukh sir. Is the president of Microbiology Society India. Dear participant, under the Microbiology Society India, more than 5,000 members are uh, throughout the India, and they are engaged in different activities for the subject of microbiology, for the subject of biotechnology and life sciences. And this is another one platform of Micro GB Talks of Microbiology Society India. Microbiology Society India has carried out the various activity throughout the different state of the India. It is the many more microbiologists under the guidance of Arvind Deshmukh sir. They are play a very important role in a COVID pandemic situation. They are the COVID warrior, and different activities like hand washing day, International Microorganism Day, various activities, and throughout the India, in a different state, the budding microbiologists are giving their contribution for the betterment of community, betterment of the nation. So this is another platform, Microbiology We Talk, that is the platform of Micro Society India. The objective of this platform, that is Microbiology We Talks, is to gather the scientists, gather the peoples, gather the researcher, to gather the microbiology, budding microbiologist, and we are planning to organize a different session under this Microbiology Talks, so the other peoples will be get benefited on this platform. And this is the first initiative of Dr. M. Deshmukh sir, under the guidance of Deshmukh sir, because in last week, just we had discussed in this COVID pandemic situation, we are facing a uh, very worst health emergency. The people are suffering from the corona infections and many more. And now the another infection is now in a health emergency, that is a mycorrhizasis. So this is a fungal infection basically, and beside that, the many more people are, or the layman peoples are taking antibiotics without prescriptions. So this is the very worst conditions will be become in a future day. So it is a future alarm. So as a microbiologist, as a science student, we should know what is the scenario of antibiotic, what is the antibiotics, and how can we take antibiotics and when we can take antibiotics. Definitely, under the guidance of Deshmukh sir, we will arrange different activities under the antibiotic resistance awareness program. This is the first session. So this is a session for only the researcher, student, professor, assistant professor, and scientists throughout the India. In this session, we invite Dr. Tushar Lodha sir. He's a scientist for a National Cell Science Center, Pune, Maharashtra. I will not take that much of time. I would like to request Dr. A.M. Deshmukh sir, kindly share your few words on this occasion. It's a starting program of antibiotic resistance awareness program organized by the Micro Society India and Micro Talks. So I request Dr. A.M. Deshmukh sir, please, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dahikar, Principal of Sanjeevani College, Koparga, and Dr. Lora, who is the invited speaker today. It gives me immense pleasure to arrange this talk via enthusiastic worker of my because I consider that every one of us is a follower of microbiology. And he is arranging various lecture regularly. Today's talk of We are initiating in microbiology and
आवाज आता है क्लियर?
for the existence not microbiology. Today we are talking about the COVID 6 months. But again, the existence is going. Picture is one attempt of that. So I'm really thankful to Dr. Loda. And in his lecture, he gives different information how antibiotic resistance is increasing in India and why issues in India, how we should act. So it has not only what is it you transfer to the persons, your friends, your classmates, and other non-microbiology, non-biotechnology students and teachers. So I wish all the best to Dr. Dahikar as well as Dr. Loda, and thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to interact with the
कनेक्शन लॉस्ट हो गया सर.
mob. August.
मेरा भी हो गया.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. ये कनेक्ट कर. सैम का नेटवर्क कनेक्ट कर. Hello. Hello. I'm audible to you. Hello. Hello. Yes, I'm audible to you. Sorry, a little bit disconnected. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Hello, I'm audible. Hello. Yeah, I'm audible to you. Hello. Hello. Hmm? I'm audible to you. Hello. Just a minute. अरे तेरे की मिनट मोबाइल पे मोबाइल चालू कर बाहर गेम करो कनेक्ट कर चालू कर सकते
Tushar sir, can I interrupt you? Okay. So, very good morning. Dr. A.M. Deshmukh sir, President of MSI. Today's our eminent speaker, Dr. Tushar Lodha sir, Dr. Dahikar sir, and all the participants. So, it's a great pleasure to introduce the Dr. Tushar Lodha sir. He is the scientist B, National Center for Microbial Resource, NCMR, National Center for the Cell Science, NCCS Pune. He has completed his bachelor degree in the year of 2009 with the secured 76%. He has completed his master degree in the subject of the about
Experience
the
about the
chromatography.
chromatography.
He also
He
handled
also
the lots of
handled the lots of
softwares
softwares which is useful
for the
for
docking
the
and the
docking
data
and the
analysis.
data analysis.
He has the
He has
experience
the
about the
experience about the
preservation and the
preservations
maintenance
and the
of the
maintenance of
bacterial
the
cultures,
bacterial
the
cultures,
deposits
the
and the
deposits
supply
and
of
the
the
supply
bacterial
of the
cultures.
bacterial cultures.
He also
He
shared
also
his
shared
knowledge
his
at
knowledge
the various
at the
platform
various
also.
platform also.
So it's
So
a
it's
really
a
very
really
great
very
moment.
great moment.
So we
So
are very
we are
eager to
very
listen
eager
the
to
Dr.
listen the Dr.
Tushar sir.
Tushar sir.
So over to you,
So over
Tushar sir.
to you, Tushar sir.
yeah thank you ma'am so I request Dr. Tushar sir kindly deliver your presentation over to Tushar sir
Yeah, just 1 minute. Are you able to see the large screen, or is it a slideshow visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, I just introduced about the infectious disease, so I think I will move on. So there are basically four different types of anti-microbial agents. That is antibiotic, which kills the bacteria like vancomycin, which kills the Staphylococcus aureus. Antiviral agents. Now almost most of us know the remdesivir very well. It is an antiviral agent. Likewise, there are various antiviral agents. For
recording करो
HIV, there is zidovudin. Anti-parasitic agents. This is also very well known nowadays because of corona. The chloroquine for malaria. Antifungal agent. Antifungal agent is against the fungi. Example is fluconazole for Candidus infection. So yeah. So what are why antimicrobials are important? Is There are various infectious disease which cause infection, and if you see the history, most of the deaths in World War I was due to the infections. And when the World War II came, and Sir Alexander Fleming has discovered the penicillin, and it has act as a wonder drug to save the life of most of the warriors. So antibiotic can be called as a wonder drug that time and now also. Nowadays, many medical processes like surgery or cancer treatment depends on antibiotic, because if you don't use antibiotic, it will lead the secondary infections, and it may cause a death of a patient. So because of use of antibiotic, there is post-operative infection rate has reduced to below
वो बंद कर
90%.
सकते हैं
And if you don't use
कुछ काम
antibiotics in such
डबल डबल डिवाइस
medical processes, it may rise to 50 to 40 to 50%, and it may lead to the high risk of mortality if we don't use the antibiotics. So using antimicrobials is it's not like that we should not use antimicrobials. It is only that we should use antimicrobials cautiously. So there are basically two different spectrum of antibiotics. One is generalist and one is specialist. The specialist one are a narrow spectrum antibiotics. They act against the specific group of bacteria, and the generalist, which acts against the broad spectrum of the bacteria, means they can act on different bacteria. So overuse of these untargeted or unnecessary broad spectrum antibiotics can lead to antibiotic resistance. So, according to WHO, the antimicrobial resistance is the ability of microorganisms that cause the disease to withstand attack by the antimicrobial medicines. In some part of world, it was found that the drugs which were very useful in treating the malaria or tuberculosis have now become useless because of the development of antimicrobial resistance by these infections. The AMR is rapidly becoming a major health concern and is almost we have to think about it before it vanishes or it eliminate the our knowledge of many decades on the treating the infectious disease. So this we are more worried for AMR, but this is not a new. It was there in the environment, or it was there from the time it got discovered. When Sir Alexander Fleming received the Nobel Prize in 1945, that time he has said this particular quote, and I read: "The thoughtless person playing with the penicillin treatment is morally responsible for the death of man who succumbs to the infection with the penicillin resistance microorganism." So the person who is going to die because of resistance organism, the credit goes to the thoughtless person who has used it unresponsibly. So he was also of the opinion that this is going to be a major challenge or major concern in the coming future. That came true. So the AMR develops in both gram-positive and gram-negative pathogens. And according to the metadata analysis, drug susceptibility from the several Indian laboratories, it is found that Staphylococcus, Vibrio, Salmonella, Shigella, Neisseria, TB, and HIV are one of the major concern in Indian population. And there are reports of superbugs which can be resistant to the last use of antibiotic, that is carbapenem and colistin, were also reported from the Indian population. So how it is obvious question that how this bacteria develops a antimicrobial resistance, because we are trying to develop a new antibiotic, and by the time we develop a new antibiotic, we found that in nature or in environment there is a bacteria which is resistant to that antibiotics, because it is a natural phenomenon that every bacteria evolves or it tries to adjust itself to the environment or to the stressor. So it is a natural phenomenon of evolution of bacteria which create antimicrobial resistance in a bacteria. The thing what we should do is we should try to use it cautiously so that it will not spread. So what we should do is what we are doing actually is we are using antibiotics in large quantity. We are doing it without prescription, which is without medical supervision, which leads to misuse of this antibiotic and leads to what we say, it is a directed evolution. We are making our microbiota to get evolved to a particular antibiotic, as it was not required, and then also we are taking it and we are forcing the bacteria to get evolved. So in the picture you can see that how bacteria get developed to AMR. That if we are taking an antibiotic, so most of the susceptible bacteria will die off, and there will be very few, one or two bacteria or one or two cells which are resistant, and we stop taking antibiotic. So what happens? This AMR, the resistance bacteria will get populated, and it occupies most of the uh, uh, most of the cells become AMR, and because of that, there is lateral transfer of genes, AMR genes, from one bacteria to another bacteria, and it propagates the AMR character. I think I am audible, and you are able to see the screen, right?
Yes, sir, you are absolutely audible.
Yeah, yeah. I just saw a message that I am not able to see. That's why I just asked. So the patient who do not complete the course, it is most of the time it is prescribed that you take antibiotic for 5 days, and most of us very commonly do this mistake that we take amoxicillin for 3 days, and we feel that we are fine and we are recovered. So the extra 2 days dose we are not taking. So I think this practice is not at all good. Whatever the prescription says, you should take those many drugs even though you got recovered, because you got recovered because symptoms got reduced. It is not because the bacteria has vanished. So that is very important, and one should pay a really proper attention for the medications. Doctor is prescribing because of some reasons. They know that you will recover in 2 days or 3 days, but then also is prescribing for 5 days. That means there is some scientific base to it. Hmm?
Yes,
So
Tushar sir, please change your slide. People are asking for change your slide. Yeah, sorry for interrupt. Yeah.
yeah, I am changing. I am changing it.
Okay, okay, sir.
I'll just do one more time. Yeah, able to see. Everybody is able to see this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think now,
yeah,
right.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I have shared a window which is not the PowerPoint view, so that may be the problem. So the AMR get developed because of prolonged hospitalization, and the surgical process which we
Screenshot
undertake
layer. Yeah.
may also, because of the surgical processes, there is high chance of
Over and
infection, and there is high chance of HAI, that is hospital associated infection, which are mostly AMR. Yeah. So the spread of antibiotic resistance is because of the lack of hygiene, hospital hygiene, and there are many more reasons. And one of the most important reason where most of us don't pay attention is the animal feed. So the people give antibiotics to the animals, and we eat the livestock, or we eat the meat. So that leads to that the animals has developed antibiotic resistance microorganisms in their stomach, and through the external, through the source of this, you can say, the food chain, that comes to us, and that is also very big concern, and there is very little research which is being going on this particular aspect, because of
Your voice
its.
very slowly.
Yeah, anything. So the Health Organization has identified AMR as one of the biggest threat. Actually, before Corona, they were all the members of WHO. They were saying that AMR is going to be a pandemic soon. but I think Corona has just surpassed the AMR, and now people are not thinking of AMR and they are just thinking of COVID. And as Dr. Deshmukh has very clearly stated in his statement that nobody is paying attention to the AMR and everybody is thinking of Corona. So once the Corona goes, everybody is going to get diverted to AMR because it is going to be a huge uh, problem in the global health. So how the AMR spreads or how antibiotics spreads in environment? There are basically two routes. The antibiotics are being taken by animal. The animal meat we eat, so it comes the AMR strains which are there in the animal gut will comes to us, or the animal feces which contains the AMR bacteria goes to the farm, and because of that through the farm product it comes to human being. That is the one route, and another one route is very well known that we eat the antibiotic and we develop the AMR strains in our gut. The person who get infected with the AMR, he is a potential source of infection, which can be spread through hospital or it can spread to his family and then so on. So these are the possible two routes of AMR spread in the nature or in the society. So AMR is a global concern because it makes illness prolonged. There is a high risk of transmission of infection. It increases the mortality and morbidity rates. It gives this particular fourth point is kind of it is mostly associated with the social economic background. That is, it gives more financial and societal cost to treat the AMR infections. Suppose you are infected, you are having one disorder, and you to treat that infection, to treat that disorder, you after you get recovered from that disorder, you have to take a medicine for not getting infections. So that is giving an extra financial burden to a person. So it is estimated that around 7 lakh people die annually because of AMR strains. WHO, UN, and World Bank predicts that there will be a progressive increase in the AMR strain, and if we did not adopt or develop proper use of antibiotic, it is going to be worsen and worse. So, therefore, the World Health Assembly has come to a global action plan on AMR, which has outlined for the with the 5 objective and global action plan. WHO asks every year to this plan and uh, follow the per AMR guidelines. So these 5 objective of global action plan are improve the awareness and understanding of AMR through communication, education, and training. Actually, I should thank Dahikar sir. He is trying to educate people about AMR, and it is one of the objective of this national global plan. So there are many more things needed like this, and I congratulate Dr. Dahikar to take an initiative, Dahikar sir as well as Dr. Deshmukh sir. And we should strengthen the knowledge and evidence based on the surveillance and research. This surveillance and research should be specific to each area, and then all the data should come up to the national level. We should reduce the incidence of infection by following per sanitation, hygiene, and infection prevention measures. This COVID has played a tremendous role in sensitizing the people about the reducing the incidence of infection. They have educated how to have protection, hygiene, and avoid the infection. So I think this is a proper way that we have applied it for AMR. But anyway, now I think the government should keep on doing things to AMR also after we come out of this pandemic. There should be optimized use of antimicrobial agents, and and we should develop economy for sustainable investment by putting money into research and development to develop new kind of antimicrobials to diagnose properly and other innovations. So we can the global plan. Which has followed the global action plan. They have the incidence of microbials has reduced by 5%. Similarly, microbials stewardship program was adopted by uh, and it was found that there is decrease in prescription of microbials to a patient from 101 to 80. So it is almost I can see approximately 17% decrease prescription only. I am not saying about anything else. We can reduce there wherever it is necessary. We should give there only the antimicrobials. So likewise, there are many cases of success because of global action plan. That is the global action plan found that the carbamazepine resistance Enterobacter C has once the program was started, there is no report of coincidence they have invented this global action plan. In Netherlands, decrease of ESBL producing strain, and that is almost by 6 decrease. So this is about the globe and how we or how India facing this issue and where we are going ahead. So India is one of the world's largest consumer of antibiotics. So it is one of the alarming point, and many cases that the AMR has led to death in India. The overuse of antibiotics is causing even people which responsible for high usage of this antibiotic, that is the high burden of this disease, poor public health infrastructure, rising incomes, unregulated sales of cheap antibiotics. So in India, it is very common. You go to a pharmacist and you ask for amoxicillin, and he will give. But it should not be a practice. Once you are prescribed, then only you should take such antibiotics. So in India, that is very common, and we should really tighten our rules and regulation for these pharmacies to uh, give the antibiotic whenever it is prescribed. So we have started getting into the global action plan on AMR from almost a decade, but still we have a long way to go. I am going to discuss about how we are doing. In past few years, the India has recognized AMR mitigation as one of the national priority, and the AMR surveillance, AMR strategies ranging from education, awareness, and initiative, infection control guidelines, audit and feedback of the prescriptions, what doctor has given antibiotic has to be carried out regularly. Once we start getting audit and feedback of prescription, it gives a responsibility to the pharmacist also that he should give the antibiotic only when it is prescribed. And one of the most important is antimicrobial stewardship and surveillance program to control the AMR crisis. So this is the action plan of India. That is it comes as a national action plan on AMR. It is divided into six subheadings. That is awareness and understanding. So it has to be through the awareness has to be through proper communication and education and training. The knowledge and evidence of the AMR has to be increased because the AMR surveillance through AMR surveillance and laboratories, there is need of many laboratories comes together and they do a surveillance and they come out with facts that this is what is happening and these are the reasons. So once we know such reasons of why the AMR infections are getting spread, it is easy to stop those infections. So there is need of prevention of infection and its control. This can be done at by giving a proper knowledge to healthcare and minimizing the hospital associated infection. Uh, it can be also thought of that the animal health, we are just giving antibiotics without any need to animals, and by some or the other means the AMR strains are coming to humans. So there is need to regulate the animal health also, and there is need to optimize the use of antimicrobial, and there is need to sensitize the people about the antimicrobial stewardship and the use of antimicrobial microbials in animals and agriculture. So this can there are more innovations and R&D is needed for more diagnosis, vaccines, and obviously there is need of proper fundings for all these things. And at the leadership stage, we can have a international collaborations and national collaborations are more important because we can get a knowledge from the international collaborations, but uh, we should understand the Indian scenario because each country or each state, I will say, behaves separately, and there are different kinds of major disease or infections. So the national collaborations are very much important. And similarly, each state should come up with a SAPCAR, that is the state action plan on containment of antimicrobial resistance. So each state should have this SAPCAR, and they should have a network of their own hospitals, how the AMR surveillance or how AMR patterns are being recorded in the particular state. So India has started this following this WHO AVERA classification of antibiotics. The WHO has classified 180 antibiotics in these three class. That is, AVERA is nothing but Access, Watch, and Reserve. So the Access, there are 48 antibiotics in this class, but this can be accessed with just a prescription, or they are the first line of drugs. Watch is their second line of drugs. So when there is a critical need of antibiotic, then only these antibiotics should be prescribed. And the reserve is it is a last resort of antibiotics. So when it is only must, then only these antibiotics should be used. So this classification has uh, given a lot of education to people that what are the antibiotics take on a normally when they are ill. So as I said that India has started this national quest for containment of AMR in 2011. They started a national task force in 2010 to have national containment of AMR, that is under NCDC, National Center for Disease Control. So this 5-year plan has now again been extended for next 5 years, that is 2017 to 22. So the objective of this plan is to establish a laboratory-based AMR surveillance system of 30 network laboratories to generate a quality data on AMR pathogens in public health importance, to strengthen the infection control guidelines and practices, promote the national use of antibiotics, and to generate the awareness about the use of antibiotics in both healthcare providers and in the community. So the policy mainly focus on the manufacture, use, and misuse of these antimicrobials, creating national surveillance system, which is one of the most important. If you see the surveillance, then only we will be able to
मायक्रोचिप टास्क के अंदर एक एक्टिविटी लेते हैं
formulate the guidelines problem. So there is a need of regulatory provisions
antibiotic
with
awareness
respect to
program
marketing of
audio clip
antimicrobials, and there is
भेजने
also
का
need to develop the specific interventions measures such as antibiotic
वीडियो
policies for healthcare facility. the development of new antibiotic tools methods is one of the most important point where we will be able to tell that when to give which antibiotic. So under the same program, the Indian government has started a schedule H1 that is to
Moment will be given to the
through scheme.
any language, Hindi language,
Around
Indian
35 antimicrobes have been placed in this scheme of Schedule H1. You can see nowadays in many pharmaceuticals shop that you can see the RX on many antibiotic has to be a doctor, then only this medicine has to be given. So that RX should get followed very judiciously by everyone. Likewise, there is the pharmacist keep or maintain a separate register to write that to whom he has given the particular antibiotic, which is being labeled as Schedule H1, and he has to maintain that data for 3 years. Whenever the drug inspector goes to visit him, he should be able to produce that particular register and show that this antibiotic has been given against this particular prescription. So there is a different color coding system for third generation antibiotics, carbapenem, tigecycline, and diptomycin. And through this Schedule H1 only, there is a ban on 343 irrational fixed dose combinations to limit the antibiotic abuse. So you can see that the RX symbol on the antibiotic, and there is a red warning given on the drugs also, that it is under Schedule H1. So you can see on another one that it is clearly mentioned that this particular drug has to be given when it is prescribed. So as I am pointing out that the surveillance is very much needed. So India has started this particular surveillance network. It is from 2001. Actually, in India, there are two independent services are going on. One is by ICMR and one is by NCDC. And actually, it is good to have an independent service, because ICMR has many medical colleges under it, and their surveillance will have more information, and NCDC data has more widespread in the Indian research community who works on disease control. So there are what I am going to talk is about the NCDC surveillance network. There are around 29 centers in through this NCDC surveillance center, and they have found out that there is MRSA prevalence of almost 41% based on the 15 tertiary care centers in India, and there is high resistance of many next generation antibiotics. So likewise, the state has also started their own. I will not say their own. It is under the nation only. They have to report to the nation. That is a state action plan on containment of antimicrobial resistance. Very few states have started this particular initiative. Maharashtra is also one of them. The Kerala is one of the best example of starting and having a containment of AMR resistance in the state of Kerala. The Kerala, Delhi, and Maharashtra, these three are the currently they are the one who is following this CAPSA. It is very important to have this particular CAPSA for critical action on the ground, and it is aligned with the National Action Plan of AMR, and various departments of AMR, various departments or colleges or the hospitals, government hospitals come together to have this surveillance network. So likewise, the IAMM, that is the Indian Association of Medical Microbiology, in collaboration with WHO, they have started the WINSAR, that is WHO IAM Network for Surveillance and Antimicrobial Resistance. Like I said, that Maharashtra has also started an initiative in surveillance of AMR, and that initiative is properly popularly known as MAHASAR, that is Maharashtra State Antimicrobial Surveillance against antimicrobial resistant bacteria. Delhi has started, and Northwest region has also starting this particular initiative. They have to report to WHO, and the WHO network have a proper surveillance, national surveillance system. So these are this is the about the Maharashtra surveillance network, that is having 14 labs with them. It is under WHO and IAM. Another bodies are NCDC, DMR, and USAID. There is through this surveillance there is a proper SOP which one has to follow. Every labs get a training for antimicrobial susceptibility testing and how one should handle the AMR strains. Each month they have to report to WHO net, and through this particular compiling of data, they come to know that which particular pathogen is prevalent in which particular region, and which antibiotic resistance is prevalent in which region, and they decide accordingly. So there are six priority topics one should think of while they want to tackle this AMR issue, that is therapeutics, diagnosis, surveillance, transmission, environment, and interventions. Therapeutic and this will not do a clear solution to the problem of AMR, because bacteria are very talented and they know the Darwin's law of survival of the fittest. So they will survive and they will become the fittest. If you try to just mimic a small change in a particular antibiotic. So most new antibiotic variations are needed, and only 5 novel classes has been developed in last 20 years, and there is need of developing new antibiotics. So as I said, that there is need of development of new antibiotics, and I feel all microbiologists should think of it, that they have a tremendous resources, because we could culture only 1% of bacteria till today. So there is still 99% of the bacteria which are uncultured, and there might be thousands and lakhs of new antimicrobial agents which are being produced by these unculturable bacteria. So the need is there to have a new approach to culture this unculturable bacteria and exploit their potential of producing antimicrobial agents. So likewise there is need of discovering new targets. So as we know that penicillin, it targets the peptidoglycan layer. So there are many more vital processes in a bacterial system, so which can be targeted for a potential treatment or potential molecules which can target that particular process. So I will just brief about one of the discovery of Tazobactin. Tazobactin is one of the new class of antibiotic which is being discovered by Lipstein. Uh, so what they have done, they have developed a eye chip, that is the isolation chip. So they are working on a bacteria which are not being cultured yet. So they are using eye chip to isolate a bacteria which can produce new antimicrobials. So the basic concept is to culture a bacteria in the nature. So you inoculate a culture in a isolation chip and incubate that particular chip in a soil or the place from where you got it. So we know this, that the soil contains many antimicrobial microbials because they have a huge diversity of microorganisms. So only thing is that we are not able to exploit that undiscovered diversity. So the first thing is that we should have access to this undiscovered diversity and then make use of this undiscovered diversity to develop a new antibiotic. So Tazobactin is one of that. So they have developed this eye chip, and they have a bacteria which was not reported yet, and they found that that bacteria is produces a taxobactin, which is a new class of antibiotic, and soon this particular drug is going to come in a market. So similarly, we there is a need to develop a new targets. So now I will just brief you about another example of how we can think of developing new targets. That is the phosphomycin resistance. Phosphomycin is a compound which blocks the MEP mevalonate synthesis pathway in a bacteria. So what a scientist has discovered that when we are using phosphomycin with colistin, it is able to kill the colistin resistant bacteria because the phosphomycin decreases the membrane stability, and it disrupts the membrane so that more colistin will go inside and it will kill the resistance bacteria as well. So it is kind of you can say synergistic effect. I will not say it is a synergistic effect. It is just you are using another approach so that the antibiotics will have more access to intracellular environment. So this kind of new approaches of targeting the antimicrobial resistance bacteria is needed. So I will come to another second priority, that is the diagnosis. There is a need to have proper diagnosis because uh, most of the time, most of us, when we take antibiotics, we have never done the AST, and we don't know that whatever infection we are going to treat is going to kill by that particular antibiotic. We are just taking it because it is being told by physician, or because we feel it, first of all. So there is need of proper diagnosis that what antibiotics you are going to take, and it is going to kill your infection. So there is need of developing new diagnostic technologies. There are already many of the diagnostic technologies are available in market, but they are costly, and that's why doing it doing it uh, accessing it regularly is a burden to person, or that's why physician don't recommend to do that. So for this particular reason, that the government and the health insurer should allow this diagnosis should be covered in their insurance or reimbursement. If this particular step has been taken, then people will be happy to go for diagnosis, because nobody wants to take medicine just like that. So I will come to the third point, which is one of the important, that is the surveillance. We should do the surveillance to quantify the burden of resistance. Survey is needed to have a warning system. Survey will help us to understand that this particular region, this kind of antibiotic resistance bacteria are popping up. So we should stop using this kind of antimicrobials, or we should have a strategy to get added. There is need of surveillance to guide the policymakers to design the policy in a proper way. The transmission routes has to be tracked, and the document impact of interventions and efforts to reduce AMR is necessary. So the surveillance is needed because there is lack of data on morbidity and mortality, economic cost, and associations between the emergence of resistance in humans and animals. The surveillance of the human travel, migration, and transport is also needed because they are also responsible for the spread of AMR between the states, or between the districts, or between the country. Countries have different levels of surveillance, and many lack the national reporting system. As I said, that only 3 or 4 states in India have started the surveillance on a ground level. So there is need that each state should come together and do a survey at local. So most of this surveillance, what I have talking about, I have been talking about, they are mostly from the city area. So we are still not able to access the primary health center in villages and like that. So that is also a need, so that we can have a proper surveillance, and then based on that the policies or the steps can be taken. So the next is the transmission dynamics. So we should know how the particular disease or how the particular infection is getting transmitted from one area to another. This is again the COVID has given very great example for studying the transmission dynamics. If we if you know that uh, the Taiwan has prevented the COVID very well because they had a very good tracing system. So the everyone who is coming from abroad or who is getting infected, they were tracing his mobile, and if they said that you should not go outside your home. If they find the signal coming from outside the home, they immediately used to call the person and tell that you are coming outside the home and you should go home. So this kind of steps are required to understand the transmission and how to control that particular transmission. So the environment, as I just quickly talked about it, that environmental factors are also responsible for developing the AMR, and there is lack of systematic analysis of food contamination, particularly retaining the environmental contamination, and it is not clear that how this property of AMR developed in these bacteria which are in food or in other environmental system. So and there is also no we I think we have not even thought about it that when we consume an antibiotic, excess of antibiotic is going through urine, so it is going into the sewage. So that sewage is having lot of antimicrobial microbials in it, and it leads to development of resistance in environmental strains. So that is also a possible impact to develop the AMR strains in the nature. So there is need to have a risk assessment to estimate the various transmission pathways from environments to human. There is need to do meta-analysis of current national and international activities that are aimed at reducing the contamination of environment by humans and animal waste and by human activity with antibiotics and resistance bacteria. There is need to determine the exact role of various environmental resources on the emergence and dissemination of AMR, that is surface water, solid or air. And there is need to understand the basic biological process that underlines these phenomena to develop remedies and preventive measures. And there is a need of interventions to in all the sectors to increase the awareness of this particular AMR strain. There very little is known about the biomedical research. There is very limited research on biomedical research to improve the health. Most interventions to control AMR to date have been based on experience, ephemerism, and common sense rather than the strong evidence. The lack of evidence base also in veterinary science, and this is one of the major cause of developing AMR strains and transmitting it to the humans. The interventions are aimed at to initiate the large-scale international projects in which interventions to prevent and control the spread of AMR can be tested in different settings. And there is need to compare and combine the AMR prevention and control practices in cost
Indirect,
trials,
please join
and
this.
to perform research to optimize the implementation strategies of the interventions aimed at reducing AMR. So this is one of the most useful slide, or it is one of the most useful step that one should follow, and it is not the government should do this particular thing. It is particularly the medical practitioner or the person who is taking medicines should think about that, whether they are taking right antibiotic, prescribing clinicians are prescribing right antibiotic to right patient for right time and for right dose, and is it through right route, and is it for right duration. So if you follow these particular guidelines, that is antimicrobial stewardship, we are going to harm less to the current and future patients. So this is about the what a nation is doing, and I will just brief you about how NCMR is participating in this national initiative. As NCMR is a designated AMR repository of DBT, so the person who is working on AMR, he should, or I should say that he should submit his cultures in NCMR, because we are going to have a large repository of AMR, and we are aiming at around 50,000 AMR cultures by 2025. DBT has assigned us this particular task. We are also a part of surveillance through WINSAR-D, that is WINSAR unit of Delhi, MAHASAR project, and CASNET. So the people who are doing the AMR isolation, they should submit their strains to NCMR, and we are going to preserve them for the future research. And we are also trying to develop the Indian standards, because most of the antimicrobial susceptibility testing what we are doing in India, the standard strains are from abroad. So we are not working actually on the Indian strains. So there is need of developing new standards, Indian standards which follow the Indian pattern. And there is we are also focusing on development of new antimicrobials using unique techniques like iChip, diffusion chamber, and etc. So with this, I would like to thank the organizer of this particular seminar. I'm really quite happy that the MicroGV group is taking initiative to spread the awareness of AMR in the society. I thank Dr. Deshmukh for taking this initiative. I thank all the people who has come to listen, and I think that we should go and aware each and every person to whom we can reach. I thank Dr. Daikar sir for this invitation. I would like to thank DBT, Department of Biotechnology, for giving this facility of NCMR, where we are trying to do our best to contribute to the science of country. I would really thank
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, Tushar sir. Yeah. Tushar sir is disconnected. Yeah, participant, you can text your questions in the chat box. Yeah, Tushar sir. Hello. Yeah, sir is online. Yeah, Tushar sir. Yeah, sir is online. Sir, are you audible? Tushar sir. Yes, Tushar sir, please reply.
hello.
Yes, sir. Are you audible?
Yeah,
Yeah,
are
please.
you able to listen?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Because as you are the scientist working in a National Center for Cell Science, the unit of cell science, and you are working on the National Center for Microbial Resources, and you have delivered the very vast and very informative informations about the antimicrobial resistance, and it's a really need of the hour, because all the healthcare sectors are working on the COVID era and how can we manage it. But this is a very big alarm to us, to our country, not to our country, but it's alarm to the world. So how can we plan then? What is the government policy then? As a microbiologist or biologist, how we can contribute for the nation, or how can we contribute? How can we just overcome this issue? Is very big issue, sir. So, sir, some participants and ask some questions. So, shall I take some questions for our audience?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yes, sir. Sir, one question is asked by Meghna Chaudhary, ma'am. Meghna Chaudhary, ma'am, are you online? Chaudhary, ma'am?
Yes, sir, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
online.
Yeah, you ask one question, please, sir. kindly elaborate the MTDR and TDR stents in the hospital setup. So, ma'am, please introduce yourself and you can interact with Tushar, sir, please.
Surely, surely. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon to the organizing committee. Good afternoon, Tushar, sir. Myself, Meghna Chaudhary. I'm working at Bitco College from Nasik. I'm an assistant professor here. And I would like to know, my question is about multi-drug resistant strains which are existing in tertiary care hospital setup. And what about, I've also heard about totally drug resistant strains are also existing. So is there any, uh, and so can it be highlighted in such a way so that we also get to know what is the recent trend about it? Multi-drug resistant bacterial species or and totally drug resistant species.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there are MDR are one of the major problem in the hospital settings, and I think there is need of proper research on how to tackle this particular thing. So there are many drugs which are having very restricted use. So these drugs are being used in such cases where you find that there is no drug of choice working for you. So the restricted drugs, which I said that the watch category of WHO, there are around 22 antimicrobials in that, and those are being used in such cases.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, okay, yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Nine,
Sir,
nine.
hello.
It's not question of the MDR.
Uh,
Hello.
yes, sir. Sir, Tushar, sir, ma'am is asking on
See,
the MTR, MTDR, and
no,
what?
there is no TDR. There is no TDR term at all. There is a
Mhm.
pan drug resistance. We can call it as pan drug resistance. There is no total drug resistant bacteria at all because polymyxin is completely banned in India. I'm very happy to you ask about the polymyxin resistance because I'm the founder one who is we are discovering the MC1 in 2016.
Okay,
So
okay.
Yes.
there is no TDR. There is no terms of TDR. The first
Okay.
thing. The
Yes.
second thing that you asking about the MDR.
Yes.
So uh, it's we have the very high. I think in India we have the very high MDR strains. Mostly we have the CTXM14 and CTXM15, which is highly spread in the India.
Yes.
We have the MDM1 in 2009, but they have lots of conflict with the AIMS. They have the NDM1. It's maybe they have collaboration when someone girls is doing the PhD on the NDM1 and she has conflict. I don't want to be under the conflict. Another one is she's asking about the surveillance in the Sweden. Maybe you are talking about the Joseph.
Yeah,
Yeah, Joseph. Yeah, but the Joseph has told me last month India is not contributing in the antimicrobial surveillance because we have the connection with the Joseph. He's in the zoological research survey.
hmm. Actually, can I answer? You are done with question.
No, she's asking about the MDR and the TDR. I just told him there is no terms of the TDR. That's called as a pan drug resistance, which is resistant more than 4 class and 4 generation of the antibiotics. And she's asking about the MDR. We can call them the MDR. Mostly more than 3 class of the antibiotics and its resistance more than the 3rd generation. So we can call it as the MDR.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you,
But,
sir.
coming to your
Pardon, sir. Thank you, sir.
coming to your point
Dr.
of
Sandeep, sir. Dr. Sandeep, sir, can you introduce, please, so other peoples can.
No, no, I'm working in the Shenzhen Children Hospital, China,
Okay, yeah,
and
yeah.
from more than 10 years, I'm working on the drug resistance.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, sir. Nice to uh,
yeah.
interact with you.
Actually, India is doing surveillance,
Okay.
but it is on very preliminary stage because India is a population of is too much to do a surveillance, and there is need of some time. After which
And
we will have a good
and
result.
one more thing. You may be going through the Nels group. It's one of the group in the US. She has one good publications, and she already mentioned the about the antibiotic resistance by 2050.
Hmm.
So maybe you can touch with the Nels. She has a very good network in the Asian countries, so she may be helpful.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you, Dr. Sandeep.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, next questions is asked by K. Nalini. Yeah. K. Nalini, are you online?
Yes, sir, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
online.
Please introduce yourself and you have asked.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. And please
Good
elaborate your
afternoon, sir.
questions.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Nalini, working in Anja College, Sivagasi, Tamil Nadu. We are doing some work in antimicrobial resistance. So, can we submit our results or data to the surveillance network? Is it possible? Can we
Yeah,
provide the data to these networks?
yeah. You can do that. Actually, in fact, your state might be having some surveillance initiatives,
Yes, sir.
or you can submit that data or strains to NCMR, and we will submit that data to the WHO net. That is the final authority to where we should submit our
Is there
data.
any streamlined procedure for those submission, or just we can inform them?
There is a form on internet or NCMR website. You have to
Okay,
fill the
sir.
form, and you have to, along with the culture, you have to send the form to NCMR address.
Okay, sir. So, do we need to get some ethical clearance for our work regarding this antimicrobial resistance?
As long as actually the basic when you are doing work, you need to have some clearance from the authority to access the clinical samples.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Apart from that, there is no need of any other clearance, or you can send the cultures to us without any clearance.
Okay,
For
sure, sir.
working
Thank you, sir.
clinical samples, you need a clearance from the
Yes, sir.
competent authority.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, one
What
thing.
what mean the data? What mean your data? Is the resistant
Sir,
data or
sir,
resistant
resistance
data or
data,
sample?
resistant data, sir.
Now,
Resistant
who
data.
can validate your resistant data?
Uh, so we are collecting some samples and we are checking with some antibiotics, sir.
Yeah,
And
I know that one. But
okay, sir.
if you want to submit the government organization,
That's what I am
who will be
asking. Is there any streamlined procedure, or we have
Actually,
to support any justification for our result?
yeah, actually, Dr. Sandeep, we are doing the validation. Whatever depositor is claiming, we will redo the ASC testing in our laboratory, and then only after we match
no,
those.
she might be has the 10,000 isolate, 20,000 isolates. How can you do that?
Actually, we have
Because you're
planned.
talking about the 25,000 isolates. It's a big data. 25,000 isolate is not a
No,
big.
sir. We are going to just send some strains which is having some unique resistance pattern, which is not so far reported anywhere else.
No, then you should have to publish the data in the good
Yes, sir.
journal.
We are going for publication. Apart from that, I am asking is can we submit our strains for future any research work which cannot be done in our lab? That's what I am
Yes,
asking.
you can do it, but you should publish the data first.
Yes, sir.
It's
We are
validate
going
data
with
first.
okay, sir.
Then you can do it. I think there is no problem.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir.
With in this platform, I just want to tell one more thing,
Yes, sir.
that the whoever is working on AMR, they should submit the cultures to any designated laboratory,
Yeah.
culture collection, so that the people will have access. So now somebody has some strains, and they are reporting some antimicrobial resistance to particular antibiotic, and they are not depositing that particular culture to any culture collection. So it is very difficult to access that culture in the future time. So I really encourage, because it does not cost anything to deposit a culture in any culture collection in India at least. So it's free of cost. You just need to fill a form and send the culture. So everything else will be taken care by the designated repository, and it will be available for throughout the life. Anybody can access it, and if you want to have a restricted access, that is also possible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sure. Another question is Great Firod PKM. Are you online? Great Firod PKM.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you elaborate your questions, please?
Sir, my question is, though a lot of advancements in the research, so far there is no single drug is developed for the tuberculosis. So why so far, and can be able to develop any single drug for TB?
TB. Actually, there are many antimicrobials against TB, but somehow they are not getting passed through the clearance. So the Taxibactin, what is being reported by the US group, it is a new class of drug which is known to act against TB. So I am not sure that at which stage of clearance it is, but there are drugs, but actually most of them they are failing in the trials.
Okay.
So there are many antimicrobials which can kill the TB. Scientifically, I am talking about, but
Okay.
in practice, what you are saying is true. There are very few drugs which comes to a market for the treatment of TB.
Okay, sir. Because we are taking first line therapy combination of three drugs, but still because combination may develop again multi drug resistant. But so far for TB, even malaria, that we have some single drug can cure the malaria. But with TB, we so far we don't have any single specific drug. So it will be good if we focus on in some aspects of so that single drug can be developed. So is it possible to work on multi-drug resistance strain on drug discovery, something?
Yeah, yeah. Many people are working on it. The multi-drug resistance, TB, and antimicrobials. As I said, that there are good results in laboratory, but in market still we are not to the mark.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Last two questions are there, sir. Tushar, sir. One
Yes.
is Parmar Sweetie. Parmar Sweetie is online. You can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please introduce yourself and from which place you are, and please explain your question.
Sir, I'm Sweetie Parmar doing my PhD in antimicrobial resistance from Nirma University. My question is that during this COVID pandemic, we are using, doctors are prescribing antibiotics in a large amount, and people are also taking antibiotics from their own, and we are excessively using antibiotics. So, whatever we have assumed or we thought that antimicrobial resistance will increase and all these things. This is going to be very fast, and the condition is going to be worse as no antibiotic will work in future. So, what will be the solution? How we will tackle this problem?
Um, this is a really a big concern to almost whole world, and particularly India, because to kill the one enemy, we are neglecting the another enemy.
Yes.
So that is going to be a really havoc. And as soon as this COVID pandemic gets over, there is a chance that the AMR pandemic, I will not say, but the AMR concerns are going to raise, and it is going to pop up like anything. So India need to focus, and I think this COVID has also given one very good understanding that uh, there are only 25 laboratories in India which are working on AMR. And now we know that almost thousands of laboratories can test for COVID. So likewise, thousands of labs should start doing the AMR testing and should start prescribing the proper medicines to stop such kind of unused misuse of antibiotic. So this the facility or the health facility for which we have focused from last 1 year can should be extended for such activities.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir. Arti Rawal, are you online?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Please, ma'am. Please introduce yourself, ma'am, and from which place or institute, your
Um,
name of institute, please.
so actually, I'm working as an assistant professor in Science College. It is nearby Surat, and I just wanted to ask. We are talking very much about all the research and everything, but actually, when we when any our near or dear ones are admitted in the hospital, at that time doctors are just giving the dose of the antibiotics, high concentration, that is like fourth generation or whatever, those type of antibiotics. They are not going for culture type of any the susceptibility testing previously. They are just prescribing all these antibiotics. And um, even in the hospital settings, the situation in the ICU, that is also not like it is not very sanitized or anything, because many people are entering. I'm talking 2 years back before COVID, in 2019 June. So in my mother was actually admitted to one hospital, and then she got the infection in the hospital, that is this streptococcus pneumoniae, totally resistant. It was just susceptible only to two antibiotics, but within a week they didn't do any type of testing. And after that, when like we came to Gujarat, at that time they did for this, but actually it was late, and she didn't get the proper treatment according to me. So our hospital settings, even in the ICU, they are not having any kind of sanitize, like what should be the level of sanitization according to me, because I have seen this situation. So we are talking everything about research and resistance and all, but it is not reaching to the actual place where it should reach, like in the hospitals or doctors. Uh, uh, I'm not talking otherwise, but it should actually, it should not remain in the lab only, these things. So sir said, according to that, that awareness is one important, that people should be made aware about the antibiotic resistance, because layman is not having any knowledge. They said like, doctor is prescribing for 5 days, but people are taking only for 3 days without knowing. They are not knowing itself. The symptoms are gone. Okay. So actually, in the hospital settings, this should be managed. Then and then only lives can be saved, according to me. Like, this is my point of view. We are working, all of us are working, like there are many dignitaries and everybody is working, laboratories are working, but actually when we go to the hospital, that situation is totally different. According to me, what may be the solution for this? Like nosocomial infections are very spreading like anything. So even in the ICU, I'm talking about the ICU, they are wearing the lab coats. That nothing is sanitized or anything. We wear it, we go to see the patient. After next time in the evening session, somebody will wear my this coat, and he will go to see his patient. So that will be more transmitted, according to me. So all these things also should be taken care of. Like awareness should be reaching the place where it should actually, where it is to be applied. That is my point,
I
actually.
completely agree with you, Aarti ma'am.
Yes.
And there is need of hospital staff to get sanitized first, and they should follow the proper training. They should know how to keep the cleanliness, and the practice should encalculate from there. And
Yes.
each individual should also get sensitized that how he should take the medicines. Now we are in a country where still the illiteracy is one of the major problem, but I think with Corona, we have almost sensitized everybody. So I
Yes.
feel if we do on that large scale, I feel sensitizing the whole country for the AMR is also not going to be a problem. If we do the work on this war footing like what we are doing for COVID, and COVID has shown that our health system can be do tremendous job when it is needed, or still there are lacunas. I am not talking about the lacunas, but this is a positive sign that we can think of using the same info to tackle such another issues like AMR and other infectious disease. So there is need to sensitize the hospital staff. I am not talking about the professional staff, I am talking about the illiterate staff who is there for cleaning, who is there for other work, ward boys and all those. They need to give proper training to them also, and
Yes.
that is actually the need of the time.
Yes, and actually
That's
we are not having that. Doctors, like hospitals are very well furnished and everything. The name of the hospital is also good. But when you are wearing that lab coat, I am also wearing the same lab coat. I am going to see my mom, and somebody else in the evening will wear the same thing, and he will go to see his or her patient. That is, I like as a microbiologist, we should have all
Yeah,
these things to see actually.
yeah,
So it is Indian again. We have to just go deal with the Indian scenario, because India again, because of the population, we are having many drawbacks, like in the medical system and the healthcare system. So
yes,
that all should be means improved. I cannot say, I am not at that level that I can say improvement, but even then,
definitely.
he as a microbiologist should take some care even in the hospital settings and everything, because they are not consulting any microbiologists. Doctors prescribe by their own. They are giving the fourth generation antibiotics. That was also resistant. At the end, after some 14 days, we came to know. So it was totally becoming resistant. That was just one of my question what I faced a problem, and I thought I can share with this in this platform. That is why. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Rightly
sir. We
said.
have to.
Rightly said.
Yes. Thank you.
We
Thank you.
all
Thank you.
microbiologists come. We have to come together. We have to aware the community, as well as we have
Yes.
to give some suggestion from our end to the governments or the, so we can anyway we can contribute to the society. So it is a
Yes.
really
Yes.
is be a very worse alarm to our nation.
Yes.
So definitely,
Yes.
ma'am.
Deshmukh sir is
Yeah,
trying very hard for all the microbiologists to come for one platform.
yeah,
Sir is doing so much efforts. So
yeah.
maybe after in a short duration of time, we will all gather for saving lives and the society.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe
uh,
it will be possible.
yeah,
Okay,
Deshmukh sir.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, madam. Deshmukh sir, are you online?
मैडम का एक एग्जांपल मैडम ने अच्छा दिया। तो
हाँ.
उसका एक एग्जांपल है कि बोन मैरो ट्रांसप्लांट एम्स में
Hmm.
we have the collaboration with the Tulika Seth, is the head of
Okay.
the department of the AIMS. So हम जो बोन मैरो ट्रांसप्लांट करते हैं इंडिया में, so that's same ICU problem infection. So we have 60 to 70% failure in the India.
Sir, कुछ
So it's just because of the ICU infections.
Okay.
It's nosocomial infections. They have lots of pneumococcal infections in the bone marrow transplant patients in the India. So we cannot succeed more than 40% in India.
And already the patients in the ICU are immunocompromised. I think in
Yeah.
other countries abroad, this is taken care of, according to me. Whatever be the reason, maybe the population is less or the technical is very sound, whatever be the cause. But like even in India, it should happen. Let there be more population. We are also having, like nowadays, because of the COVID, we are taking so much care. The hospitals, healthcare, everything is being well furnished. So what about 2 years? Why it didn't happen? Like we cannot blame anyone, but this is the fact. We have to accept. Maybe even in the past 5 or 10 years, this it will be the same situation. There may be some improvement, 20-30%, but according to me, I don't. I'm not a pre this thing, but even then, okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir, for
Yeah.
answering the question. We have to all take care. Thank you, Tushar, sir, and thank you, Deshmukh, sir. Thank you, uh, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah. Rupa Kankam, ma'am, is online. Rupa.
Yes, sir, I'm there. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Please, please.
Yes. Sir, I have two questions. Like, one is, do you provide any training for WhoNet data entry? And another thing is like the data. I mean, half of the question already Sandeep sir and you have answered, but still I'm asking. Like, I have worked on like around 70 cultures. AST data is there with me, and it is unpublished, not yet published anywhere. So, is it safe to enter all the details in the WhoNet before any publication? Yeah, these are the questions.
I feel actually first to answer first question. Actually, we did not provide any training to enter data in WhoNet network, but there are people who can do that from the Mahasar network or something like that. And to answer your second question, uh, I feel publication is a different thing, and data entry for the surveillance is a different thing. And I think you can still go with both. You can go with data entry in your surveillance network, and you can report the case to a publication.
Okay, thank you, sir. One more
You
thing,
can
sir.
you can submit the data in the whole net. It's not matter about the your publication. It doesn't matter with the publication. You can send, because whenever you do, where we do the drug, because every day we do the we have the system to do the whole drug resistance, because we cannot do the antibiotic without uh, sensitivity test.
Okay, sir.
So we do the thousands of antimicrobial resistance every day. So we upload the data in the whole net. So it doesn't matter. I think it doesn't matter.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So one more thing, sir, what are the culture deposition charges? Like normal culture deposition charges, I know in NCMR, but what about these AMR cultures?
So for culture deposition, there are no charges for any type of culture, be it a normal culture or be it a AMR culture. For deposition, I am talking about. If you want
Okay.
some culture from us, then we charge, and they are around 1,500 rupees. So there are also no huge. So if you want to
Okay.
deposit to us, it's absolutely free. You just need to fill a form and send the culture.
Okay, okay, sure, sir. That will be great help because the researchers who are not having any funding, that will be difficult. That's what I'm asking. Thank you so much for that, sir.
We have two laboratories in India who can deposit the your bacteria. It may be in the MIT,
Imtech.
in
Yes.
MTech in Chandigarh, or
Yes.
you can submit it. If you have the fungus, you can do for the PJMR Chandigarh. We
We
can.
accept the fungus also here, sir.
Yeah, there is a Dr. Alok Chakravarti. He's the head of the department of microbiology. You can access him, so he will be. You can deposit the fungus culture also.
Sir,
One
can yeah, can I request for Tushar sir and Sandeep sir, can you please drop your contact numbers and email ID so that the people who are working in this particular area, AMR, that will be more of help, sir. Thank you for that.
Yeah, we will definitely do it.
Sir,
I'll
one
just
thing I wanted to ask. One more thing I wanted to ask, sir, that after deposition of the cultures, then again when we require our own culture, again we have to pay the charges.
If you are a depositor, then we give two cultures free of cost. In fact, when you deposit your culture to us, after we finish the procedure of deposition, we send one copy back to you again.
The same culture.
Same
Okay,
culture.
not related to AMR, any other culture, environmental sample culture.
Yeah, be it any culture, that is the standard operating procedure here. So if you are a depositor, for 1 or 2 times we give free of cost.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Sir, last one questions from Riza Nada. Dr. Riza is online?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, please, please.
Yes. So my question is, so basically I'm not a microbiologist, so maybe that's why this question is coming up.
You
So I'm
from which
asking
place,
that.
ma'am? Which
Yeah.
organization? And yeah.
Okay. Sorry, yes, I'm an industrial scientist working in Bangalore. And yeah, so my question is, so there's are MDR strains developed in lab for study? If yes, then what is the potential risk of that? Okay, so I know there is no other way to study this MDR, but I have a question: is this MDR strains developed in the lab? And if so, if yes, then what is the potential risk of that? And how is it contributing to the AMR problem itself? So yeah, this is my question. Thank you.
You want to say that do we develop MDR strain? That is what
Yes.
your question?
Yes.
So actually, we are not working actually with any of the MDR in our settings as of now. But developing is something I feel for research purpose it is fine, but it is very risky. And I think Dr. Sandeep can add more about it. I am not sure.
Screenshot.
What the question? What the question? I didn't listen to the question.
Oh,
She
sorry.
want to
Okay,
say
let me
that
repeat my question again, sir. So,
Hmm.
my question is to study MDR strains. So, are they developed in the lab for study? If yes, then what is the potential risk of that? And how is it contributing to the AMR problem itself?
When we are studying the MDR, like
Yes.
the specific genes, we cannot develop the drug resistant bacteria actually. But what we do the site directed mutagenesis. Sometimes we need to find out the what is exactly mutation site, which is very important, so we can knock out by the any type like a CRISPR-Cas9, or or we need to target that site so that can we when whatever develop the drugs, so mode of the actions, so we can do the like that. But we do not develop the MDR strains in the lab. It's very risky, and no any government has permit to do that.
So basically, this is designing the strain. So how different is it? Is it also not of a potential risk?
They have the risk, so that's why any government will not allow to develop the drug resistant strains in the lab.
Yes, sir. But you mentioned that you are designing the strains, right? Like knock in, knockout, you are doing and
Yeah,
designing the strains, right?
it's for the particular antibiotics, particular
Yes.
target. We
Particular
just do the
target.
yeah, and we
Okay.
do in the it's not in the clinical strains. We need to do in the host strains, we like a DS10B or DH5 alpha, like that
Correct.
kind of
Like cloning
strain.
strains, right? Okay. Oh,
Yeah, cloning
okay. I
strains.
got it. Okay, I got it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I think almost questions are finished, and we are now in the last stage of this session. That means a vote of thanks. Really, thanks, Tushar sir, Tushar Loda sir. You have spent a lot of time for our budding microbiologist, and you aware about the antimicrobial resistance and what where we are right now, and what kind of work we have to do, what kind of policy we have to shape to avoid the antimicrobial resistance. And really thanks, sir, your guidance, and definitely your sessions, your talk, your informations will be helpful for the all the participants who have attended these sessions. And thanks, sir, Dr. Sandeep Patil, sir. You have also your information is also help our participants. Really thanks to all. And thanks, special thanks to Dr. A.M. Deshmukh, sir, who has given us opportunity to set this platform, MicroGB Talks. And definitely, from a micro society, and with the help of with the support of you all people, we will contribute something good for our nations through this my anti-microresistant programs or its activity. Once again, I would like to thanks Dr. Deshmukh sir, Dr. Tushar sir, Dr. Sandeep Patil sir, all the participants, Dr. Rupa Kanka ma'am, now Dr. Nalini ma'am, Meghna Chaudhary ma'am, Riza Nada, and yes, Sandeep Patil especially. So they have given a good output in this session, and definitely we will work together in future also. This is a platform of MicroGB talks, and many more sessions we will organize on the antimicrobial awareness. And I would like to thanks Dr. Bhutada madam. She is the coordinator of this ARAP, session. So I would like to thanks to all the participants and thanks to all speaker also and the organizer also. Once again, thank you so much. Obviously, with the permissions of our Deshmukh sir and Tushar sir, obviously I will conclude this today's session. If you have any query, you can text me on our group or you can directly contact to our speaker, to Dr. Tushar Loda sir. Definitely he will guide you, he will inform you or he will give a kind proper information for your research or any kind of information if you need. So once again, thanks to all and with your kind permission, I'm going to conclude today's session. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.